Welcome to another and what might possibly actually be the last video in this playlist about how to build your own API in Node. So if you remember, you might have just watched the last video, but it's been a while since I made it, so I'm going to just kind of set the stage here very, very briefly. We have so far an API made in Node that saves words and a score, a kind of positive or negative valence, the idea that we're going to do a sentiment analysis application, that stores those words over time. So I have a particular route where if I go to the server/all, I can see all the words that are in that database. I also made a little front end that if I add a word like kitten and I give it a score like 4 and I hit submit, and then I can hit refresh here, and we can see now kitten has now been added to that database. Now it's not actually a database; it is simply just a list, a JSON file. But the Node program is receiving the word and score from the client, saving it to the JSON file, and loading again for later use. So there are two things in this video that I want to add to this particular application. Number one, I want to add a pre-existing list of words and valence scores. And this list is known as the AFINN-111. So this will just make the sentiment analysis work a little better by giving us seeding it with a pre-existing list of words. I made a separate video where I went over this in more detail, but which I'll link to in this. But this list comes from this particular website, and it was developed by Finn-Nielsen. And if you use it, you should credit it. And there's links and information about how to do that here. Okay, so that exists. That's number one. I want to bring that list over. Let's actually do that first. I'll say what the number two is in a second. Number two is I want to look at a post to the API. What's the difference between get and post? So that's going to be part of this video too. So I'm actually just going to absurdly just do save as, and I'm going to go to my Node folder, and I'm going to save it as AFINN-111.json. And then I'm going to go to the server, and we're going to look at where the server loads. Where does the server load that file? Right here. var data equals read file sync words.json. So I also want to load what is it called? AFINN-111.json into a variable called AFINN. And I'll call this AFINN data. And then I want to say var data equals json.parse AFINN data. Oh no, sorry, var AFINN. So now my Node server has both the word list that's being saved and the AFINN list. Now here's the thing. So I think what I want to do is just change this. I'm going to change this to additional. I think I'm going to keep these in separate files because this AFINN-111 is never going to change. And what I want to do is, but I'm going to call that file additional just for clarification, additional. And what I want to do now is in the server. So I have them as two, and I must have a save place somewhere else, so I need to change this to additional as well, where I save that file. Because what I want to do is when it comes time to do this sentiment analysis, I need to look in both of those. I need to look in the AFINN word list. Is it there? If not, look in the additional word list. And I should decide if one overrides the other. In this case, probably the additional should override the AFINN. So I'll look in additional first. OK, great. So actually, done. We did it. Yay. But I guess I could in all. Let's look at that all route again. Let's actually do something kind of a little goofy. I'm going to say the data is additional is words, and AFINN is the AFINN list. So I'm changing the server when you ask for all to not just give you the words that are in the database, but look at both of them. So this is just changing the response of the server. And what I'm going to do here, if you go here now, I have to restart the server. Oops, sorry everybody. I'm going to restart the server. And I'm going to do this. And we can see now I have both the additional list and the AFINN list. Wonderful. OK, so now, but this probably broke this part because the way I was parsing, I was using that all root. But you know what? I'm going to get rid of this drawing thing. It's sort of unnecessary right now. I just want to have this word score interface. So let's go back to the client, which is here. And let's get rid of the draw data thing, which we don't need to do anymore because we're going to do some different stuff here. So I just want to see that this, and I don't need draw data anymore. I want to see that this works. So I want to see what's another word that I could add. Puppy. And 3, hit submit. And we can see that that worked. Success, although I probably, again, should add something to this page that says, thank you, I added that word to the list. That's a great exercise for you. But we can just confirm now that if I go back to here, under additional, puppy is there. OK, so everything is working, but my API behind the scenes has access to both the full AFINN list and any additional words that have been added. Notice how things are a little bit different here. I probably should have been more thoughtful about fixing this up so that these are actually numbers and not strings, but I can deal with that later. So, OK, now the thing we need to change now is how do we send a large body of text from the client to the server? And so I'm going to come over here for a second to oh boy, this camera is off. I'm going to come to the void. And I want to talk about the difference between a get and a post. So HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. I don't know if that's right. It's probably right. Is a request and response protocol. Hi, I'm a web browser. Could I please, I'm making a request, have some information about where I could get some nice apples this time of year? And maybe I would ask that to Google. And Google, being the server, would say, hey, here's a response. Here's some information. And the way that I can talk to that server in this request and response protocol, if we have server and we have client, is I can make a GET request, which is like, could you please give me some information back? Or I could make a POST request, which is, would you please take this information and save it onto your server or do something with it? So if I'm logging in with my username and password, that would be something I would want to send with a POST request. If I want the results of a search, I might use a GET request to get the results back. Here's the thing. Even though this is how this protocol is designed and how it works, you'll notice something in our program a little bit strange. If I go back to the code for a second, you might ask, where are these happening? Well, right here, when I set up a route, I'm actually saying this is handling a GET request. If the browser asks with a GET request for /all, send this information back as the response. Information that comes with the request is in this variable. Stuff that I want to do to respond is in this variable. This is a GET request, and it makes sense. I would like all of the data in the database, please. Could I please have that? Thank you. I really wish it was this. GET, please. But it's just GET. No, I guess there's no need for politeness between computers. Kindness. There's something to be said for kindness between computers, though, and people. Anyway, I'm off track here. But you'll notice something. This is also a GET request. Get add word score. Now, it makes sense that you would have parameters for a GET request like search. So this is a GET request. Search, do you have the word kitten in your database? If so, could you please tell me its score? That's what's happening here. But in this particular route, this is a GET request, and my GET request is saying, here are this word and this score. Will you please add those to your database? And according to my discussion over here, that should really be a post, right? If you're sending data to the server for the server to save, that's really a post and not a GET. The thing is, though, it's just so darn convenient to use a GET. Why is it so convenient? Because that's what the browser does natively on its own. I can actually now just make a GET request by saying localhost 3000 add yellow, which is maybe a neutral color or slightly positive. So this is me now making a GET request. That GET request is done. It's saved into the database. I can use the fact that I can add parameters to a GET request through the route or a query string. There are lots of ways to do it to actually have the server saved, to send stuff to the server for it to do stuff with as well. And because it's just like a little bit of data, it's just so easy to do it in the route with a GET request, why not? But there are times where this GET request isn't sufficient, and you really need to use a post. Well, one is like username and password. So if security matters, you don't want to have the username and password just in the URL path as part of a GET request that anybody could potentially hack and get access to. So this is really where, for hidden data, it really needs to be a post. The other thing is like media. If you want to upload an image to a server or upload a sound file, you can't do that through a GET request. You can't easily, although there's some tricky ways you could like base 64 encode your image into like a number string that goes into the URL. But basically for media, but really what I mean in a lot of ways is like large data. So if I want to send a full paragraph to be, or a full many paragraphs, 1,000 words to be analyzed and have the server send me a result back, I want to send that data through a post rather than a GET, because it's going to be much too awkward to try to like encode a full paragraph of text into some sort of route or URL query string. So this is really the difference between GET and POST. POST is for sending data. It happens behind the scenes in an invisible way. GET is for making a request, and it happens right in a visible way because it's really basically the same as what you would be doing to type in a URL into the address bar. OK, so now that we've covered that, there's two things I need to figure out. One is, how do I handle a post in the server? The nice thing is, you could imagine that it might be something like this: app.post, analyze, and analyze this, right? So this is now, I'm going to write, and I have a function to handle that post request. So this is now how, instead of a GET request, in a Node program I can handle a post by saying app.post, analyze this. And then, what's the other part? How do I make a post request? Well, there are countless ways you could do it, because you could look at jQuery, and you could look at native JavaScript, and you could look at any JavaScript framework you want. In P5, there's a very nice, lovely little function called HTTP post. And so I'm going to add something. What I'm going to do is in the here, I'm going to add a text area. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make another paragraph, and I'm going to say text area ID equals text input, text area. Let's just do columns equals 40 and rows equals 5, so we can. And so if I go now to here, we should see there's a text area there. So what I want to do is, and I'll add another submit button. I'll call it analyze. So now I have an analyze button. What I want is, when I analyze this button, to make a post request to the server. So what I need to do is, I need to also, in JavaScript, get access to the analyze button. Button A for analyze, and analyze. And analyze this, I'll say. Function analyze this. And here what I want to do is get the text, which is the, I can select the text input area and say .value. And then I want to make a post. And the way I make a post is with the P5 function HTTP post. So when I wanted to make a GET request, load JSON was all I needed to do, because load JSON by default is a GET request, just like load image or load any of the load functions. There is, by the way, an HTTP GET method, which allows you to have more control over that GET request. But here I just want to make a post. So OK, so I'm going to do p5.js reference, and I'm going to look at HTTP post. And let's look at this page. The difference is, and boy, does this look confusing. The difference is when I make a post, I need to send it a whole object, which is all the data that I want included as part of the post. So this allows for a lot of possibilities because I can have multiple fields and I have multiple kinds of data. So really, there's a bunch of stuff I need here, but what I care about most right now is I need to give it the path, which is the route, the data that I want to send, I guess what kind of data it is, which I'm going to make it JSON-based data, and then a callback for when it's finished. So let's do all of that. And I'm going to say, where was that? HTTP post. So first, I need to say data is the text is the text. And that's actually all I need to post is just what's in there. So, but I could add a lot more things into this object. And I want to go to /analyze. Is that how I did it in like the load JSON? Add. I don't need the slash in front, sorry. Analyze. And then I need to say it's going to be JSON. And then I need to say data posted. And then I could also say data error. But let's skip the error right now. I should actually probably data post error. So let's write those functions. Function data posted result. And I'm going to say console.log result. And in the server now, so now I've posted this data to the server. And again, this could be a lot more stuff than just that text. And in this function, post, I should have a callback for error. And so now I just want to look at what comes back after it's posted. OK, so now in the server, I'm just going to say response.send thank you. And actually, let's make this a reply message thank you and send that reply. And let's just look at console.log request. So we're going to have to figure out how do we get the stuff that was posted right here in the request. OK, here we go. So let's see how far did we get here. First, I need to restart the server. And I want to go to this page here, which I should see this. I want to look at the console. And now if this is a test, and I hit analyze, I got the message back. So the round trip happened. The question now is, let's look at what's in the request. Oh my goodness, how am I ever going to look through all this and find the data that was posted? So here's the thing. How do I find that text? This is a mess of data that comes in with the request. Now we know if you go back to the server, when I had a GET request, I can simply just look at the request's parameters, because these are the parameters that come in with the request with a GET. With a POST request, it's not so simple. There isn't just the parameters. There's this part of it called the body, which has all this information in it, and I have to parse it. Luckily for us, there's a node package which will do this parsing for us. And this parsing, this package is called body-parser. So what I need to do is I need to install that package, body-parser. And I want to save that as part of this project. So I'm saving it. Now I have the body-parser package. And then what I want to do, and I'll include a link in this video's description, but I'm on the GitHub repository. I just want to look at, I need to require it. So I need to add it to my code at the top, or it doesn't really, I'm going to add it here where I require express. And then after I create the app, this is serving static files. I now want to use this body parser package. So I'm going to just scroll all the way down here on this documentation page where I know there's a quick example. And I can grab this code and I can add it in. So I now am telling this app, this web application, which is an Express application that's listening on this port, which uses static hosting for the stuff in the website folder, now also has the body parser, and I want to use JSON because I want to get the stuff, I want to parse everything as JSON. OK, so now that I have that, I should be able to say, oh boy, do I hope that that's true. in the post, where I'm handling the post, I've already lost it, right here, let's say console.log request.body. And so I'm going to restart the server. Whoops. And I'm going to refresh this page. I'm going to say this is a test. I'm going to hit analyze. I got the message back. And oops. The bug is fixed. This is blank because I forgot to actually pass in the data. I had a mistake, which some of you might have been screaming at your television system. That's not what you're watching this on. In my client code, right? In my client code, right? What do I need to do? I need to send it the route. I need to send it the data, what the format of the data is, and I had callbacks for when it's finished or if there's an error. What's missing? I just listed 5 things. I forgot to actually send the data. Data goes here. So I forgot to post the data, so there's no way for me to read or receive the data if I didn't post it. So that's done now, and I think it's going to work. So let me, I actually don't have to restart the server because I just changed the client code. And you know what, this is driving me crazy. I just want to, in the client, I just want to say, just add something here like, I am happy today because I saw a rainbow and some kittens. OK, so now I have some text pre-filled in. I can hit analyze. I got a message saying thank you. And I can go look at the server. And I can see that that data came into the server via the post. We have a post. We have a post working. That is awesome. OK, so now all I need to do is do sentiment analysis. I really should just give this to you as an exercise and end this video now. But I'm going to finish it up myself. So the nice thing is this isn't too hard for me to do now in the server. I'm going to go to the server code. And right here, instead of console logging, I want to look at and say var text equals request.body text. Then I want to split it up, text.split. And I'm going to use just a regular expression here to split it up into words by anything that's not a word, letter or number. I explained this in so many videos, but this is pattern matching, and \W is anything that's not A to Z or 0 through 9. And so now I can loop through those words. And I can say, now, what I want to do is I want to first look, I need a total score. So I'm going to have a total score started at 0. I need to say if words, oh boy, I need to call this additional. So because that's going to be a problem, let's look everywhere I use words, because additional, oh boy, additional. OK, I just don't want to confuse my variable names. So here, I should have just called that tokens, and I wouldn't have had that problem. But if additional has own property, and I want to see if word equals words index I has own property word, then total score plus equal additional, that word, the value, and a number. I'm doing this kind of fast. I should reference you. I did this exact sentiment analysis entirely in a separate coding challenge, which I went through in a little more detail. So I can check if it's there. If it's not there, then I should also check if it is in the AFINN list. And if it's in either one of those, let's make a word list. We'll just make it, a word list. So we'll actually make it a word list, sure, an array. I could say in either of these cases, word list.push, an object that has word, score, and then and the score is var. The score is, I can say var score. If it's in additional, score equals number additional. and then add that. This is not interesting to watch anymore. And otherwise, if it's in AFINN, that's the score. And then, sorry, number, okay. So I'm just cleaning this up because now I can say total score plus equal the score. So the score can start, for every word, can be assumed to be 0. And if it's in additional, add the score. Actually, sorry, I don't need this here anymore. Get the score from additional. If it's in AFINN, get the score from AFINN. And now what I could do, let's just get this working. I could say reply is score, total score, and comparative in the AFINN-111 Sentiment Analysis, the comparative value is the total score divided by how many words are in the text, words.length. So now we should see that I'm getting the text. So my server is now receiving the text as the post request, chopping it up into words, looking at every single word, seeing if it's in one of the lists, and then spitting back a total score. So let's run this. Oh, I need to restart the server. Oh, I have an error. Words is not defined where? In line number 6, which is here. I don't actually need this console log. It was just for debugging earlier. So let's run the server again. Refresh and hit analyze. And we got an error. False. I got some error. So what happened? Let's look at the console. Oh yeah, I got an error. Comp is not defined. So I made a mistake because I'm trying to do this so quickly and I'm not being careful. And I've lost where the code this is. Oh, comp. Oh wait, comp. And then this can be comparative. I'm just not naming things carefully. So this is the reply that I want to send back. Oops, I have to restart the server. There we go, and look at this. Every time I analyze, I get both the comparative score and the score. Now, I really want to also send back a list of words, and I want this to be an exercise. I'm going to do it anyway because I want to see it here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to also say, I'm going to make a variable called found, and say found is true. Found is true. And then I'm going to have a word list. And then if found, so if it's found, then I want to add it, push, and I'm going to make an object that has, I'm going to just add into an object, I'm going to make an array of objects with word, word, score, score, which is a little awkward. But now what I can do is I can also send back the list of words. So I'm just saving every word and its score if it was found in one of those lists. Because now, if I run this again and I hit analyze, array 0. So I did something wrong. Let's look at this again. Whoops, I initialized the array in the loop, which means I kept clearing it out. So of course there's nothing in the array. Let me take that out there. Run this again, refresh, analyze, and now we can see this is what it got. This is the comparative. Oh, this is very small for you to read. Oops. You can see here that this is the comparative, that's the score, and this is the list, happy and rainbow. So what I could say is, why didn't it get kittens? So what I would like to do is add kittens. And kittens should have a score of 4. So I'm now going to hit submit. And now when I analyze it again, whoops, we can see that I got a score of 14. And let's say today is really positive with a number 100. I can add that to the database and analyze again, and now I have a score of 114. So now I have both, on one page, I have both a system. Wow, we've really finished this example, where I can submit to the database using a GET request. I can post to have text analyzed. I can submit to the API with a post, and I can get back the results. Now here's the thing. As a challenge, as an exercise, take this exact code and really work on the interaction here and how this works. How could you actually effectively crowdsource a full word list? How could you use an animation or use design to show the results in the word list? And you could click on them, and what if it showed you all the words here and the ones that are missing, and it let you type them in and hit submit? So you could kind of like, how could you train this to have a larger database of words for more sophisticated sentiment analysis? This would be, I think, a challenge for you to take this and take it further. But this is a fully functioning API. There's one piece of this that I think I should mention. This API can be accessed by so the server, the node server, the thing running right here, can be accessed by this web page because this web page is hosted on this server. But what if you wanted to make a sentiment analysis API that is running somewhere, but anybody could access it from their own web pages and their own programming without being the programmer of the server? Well, to do that, what you want to do is open up on your server something called cross-origin resource sharing. You want to say, I want other people to be allowed to send GET requests or POST requests to this server, not just me, the programmer of the server who also is hosting like HTML files packaged with it. And to do that, you need to enable CORS, which stands for cross-origin resource sharing. You've probably encountered the flip side of this error. Anytime you've tried to request something from a server and you got this like XML request, HTML not allowed, cross-origin resources not enabled. So if I want to enable CORS, I can search for CORS node package, Express. This is something I can enable with Express, and I can actually just install this CORS package. And I can say npm install CORS -- save. Now I've installed that node package, and I can go here and I can just grab app.use. Oh, I can say CORS require CORS. Right up here, the same place that I used body-parser, var CORS equals require CORS, and app use body-parser, app use etc., and app use CORS. So now I have enabled CORS. So if I deploy this to Heroku or DigitalOcean or whatever web server hosting environment, whatever my server is, now if I handed out the IP address or the URL, other people could call load.json or HTTP post from their own P5.js code running on their computer to your particular server. So this concludes my series about how to build an API from scratch using Node and a front end to that API using P5.js. Hopefully you found this useful. If you make an API, if you build something, share it with me, ask in the comments, like, share this video. I guess those are the things I'm supposed to say. And I look forward to seeing you. I'll do some follow-up videos as part of this playlist if there are some good questions or other features that I think of adding. Okay? See you soon. Goodbye.